Hello and welcome to PMI's Uncommon Sense podcast, tools to improve your work forever. I'm Susanna Clark, Managing Partner with PMI. Our Uncommon Sense podcast is a 15-minute conversation with our expert consultants. They talk a lot of common sense, although much of it is not common practice. And that's what this podcast is all about. We want you to be inspired to improve your business through learning more about the tools which can help you succeed and grow. Barry, could you just introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Suz. My name is Barry Byrne. As Suz said, I'm a director consultant with PMI. I work with a wide variety of clients in many, many different sectors. And the topic that Suz and I will be talking about today is one that continues I'm passionate about for more reasons than it just being a tool. So looking forward to having a discussion, Suz.
Excellent. So Barry and I are having a series of conversations, and we're talking about the methods and approach of process mapping, specifically to help understand how the work is actually done. So today we're going to talk about value stream maps. So Barry, first of all, can you, at the highest level, can you just talk about, what is a value stream map?
Yeah, okay. A value stream map is another form of flow diagram. And it's often recommended for lean improvement. So any lean initiative typically would have value stream map at its core. Like flow charts, of course, it visualizes the flow of the work, as you just described. But it also has resonance for me in that it's a very good visualization, a great indicator of a customer order. And of course, being able to visualize a customer order from start to finish is very much a process where we talked about process mapping of acquiring knowledge and insight, in this particular case, of how a customer order would proceed through the system, if you will. So as well as being able to visualize that, Suze, what it also defines is some of the bigger systemic associations with the customer order. For example, the management of information, the management of that order itself, as well as the processes that process the order, either in service terms or in manufacturing terms. It crucially indicates or help us identify the customers that the steps in the process that classically would be considered as value add by the customer. In other words, in rough terms, that which the customer is prepared to pay for. And it therefore helps us in identifying non-value add steps, i.e. waste. And waste identification, of course, is the life's work, but nonetheless, a value stream map is extremely powerful in collating all of that into a single graphic, a single visualization.
So if you were looking to work on the creation of a value stream map, not from a how-to perspective, but from a, let's get ready, what sort of things should I be thinking about if I was going to?
Okay. So there is a sequence, as you said, and I don't intend going through that sequence. But what often intrigues me, of course, is initially the first step is to understand what exactly is the business system there to deliver. What and in practical terms, what is it that we're delivering? How many are we delivering? When are we delivering this? In what form? In what shape? How is it that the customer wants it presented? In other words, we're starting from our first position, which is understanding customer requirements. What exactly is this system set up to deliver? So why am I enthused by that? Well, I'm enthused by that because, again, from experience, once we would like to believe we truly understand customer requirements, that may well be the case, but unfortunately, we often don't have a shared view, or we don't necessarily have operation defined what the customer means by. Service level agreements may well sit in one sector of the system. So, for example, procurement may have established a service level agreement with the customer, but operations may not get to see that because they don't have a relationship with the customer. So, of course, in establishing the framework, the organization in and around defining this value stream map, I need to bring in some very key players. And very often they'll be representative of multiple functions. So I'm deliberately setting out to look at how the system collaborates in and around this value stream. And as a consequence of that, we're now not just visualizing how this work works, but we're also getting into the health. So how healthy are these relationships? How healthy and a diagnosis, what does the data inform us about how well we're managing and operating the system to enable us to deliver customer requirements? So that will always be uppermost in my mind is that engagement of identification and engagement of key knowledge holders in and around the system. And of course the value stream map is extremely powerful in that it does bring to play, our whole integrated supply chain. So who manages our suppliers, who manages the customers, who manages the planning, who manages the sales, who manages operations, and so on and so forth. That actually is a very good view of the system in play. Again, coming back to our discussion around knowing how the work works.
And a lot of automation is often revealed about handovers between these different groups.
Yes.
That they may not normally necessarily be particularly aware of.
Yes, and indeed. And it is actually challenging the potential for organizations that are typically silo based. So it isn't just about recognizing what each of those functions do in terms of their own processes, but it's the health of those interdependencies between the functions. And a value stream map, of course, can tease that out. An integrated flowchart, of course, is extremely powerful in that regard, and no doubt we'll talk about an integrated flowchart. But what it does highlight then is the cultural challenge about us not just understanding how the work works within functions, but how the work works across functions.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose what intrigues me most is where in our business system is the health of those interdependencies nurtured? Who's the guardian of those interdependencies? Where does that sit? Because clearly it's not the functional accountability. And I think then that drives us to see, how do we enable our system at a middle to senior executive level? May well be a discussion for another day, but I think maybe perhaps picking up your point, the technicalities is one challenge. The cultural challenges of maintaining this system within the value stream map, of course, is extremely powerful.
So the value stream map is great for identifying the real value add. So using your wording, so what we do and what the customer is willing, what they value and what the customer is willing to pay for. It's therefore also really good at understanding waste because of what they're not willing to pay for that may be sitting in our system. It's a cross function view. So we get a really good sense of how the work flows from a customer's perspective, from their order to receipt of service or goods. And it gives the system insight into its own health, or how well we are working together and collaborating in order to make supply to the customer as effective as possible.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, the customer's interested really in just one thing, is how well my order flows through your system. And the value stream map is extremely powerful at doing that. I think the other element of interest as well, Susan, is this dawning recognition of what are our core competence here? What is our core competence? And of course, it's essentially what it is that the customer sees of value in your business. So much as a system map will do similar, a value stream map enables us to really focus in on what are those core processes that exist today in order to deliver what it is the customer is looking for. And I think it's important that we move away from thinking everything and all processes will do that to what's our USP here. And of all of the myriad of processes we manage and so on every day, which are those that the ones that I said before that we need to nurture, so that we can ensure, as Deming talks about, optimizing the entire system. Is that the value stream map allows us? It is one of those other enablers that allows us to recognize the need to nurture those processes that ultimately end up in delivering value to the customer. And as I've mentioned before, if the value stream map enables us to identify the non-value add, business essential non-value add, that therefore should enhance the product or service that the customer is receiving.
Super. Thank you very much, Barry.
You're
And thank
welcome.
you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you so much for joining us. You can find more episodes of our Uncommon Sense tools to improve your work forever in our Knowledge Hub on our website, or, of course, your favorite podcast platform. And do subscribe so you never miss an episode. Don't forget to check out the show notes for this episode, where you'll find links to more content on this topic, which includes webinar recordings, toolbox guides, blogs, and infographics, and our training page. You can always drop us a line on team@pmi.co.uk and arrange a time to have a call to talk about how these tools can help you in your organisation. We'd really love to hear from you.